It's been about 10 months since I got my Cummins powered Squarebody Suburban on the road. I've got 12,000 miles under it, and it's performing well. But today, we're going to talk about what's not performing so good, because there are some things on this guy that I would like to change, and I thought I'd share them with you today in this week's episode, Everything Wrong with my Cummins powered Squarebody Suburban. I dig driving this truck, dude. It's big, and it's often a handful. Like the Trader Joe's parking lots here in town are a nightmare. But that's okay. It's worth it. Oh, I may have to move the mic. Okay, let's do this. I figured today I'm just gonna, on this drive, we're just gonna take a drive around Santa Barbara, and I thought I'd just tell you guys, you know, what I enjoy about this rig, what I would change if I could, and what I've learned from building this rig, because I'm gonna build more. So let's start off with everything that sucks, because that's the title. That's how I sucked you guys in here, was with that title. Everything I hate about my Cummins swapped Squarebody Suburban. And it's a short list. The only thing I really, well, hate is a strong word. The things that are wrong with it that I need to fix. The suspension. The leaf springs are perfect. I chose to go with the Bilstein 5125s because I had them. I had two of them that were on the Blazer before I converted the Blazer to 4-link. So I had two already, so that was $200 savings. So I bought two more, threw them on, and I knew they were gonna be just pushed beyond their abilities. And yeah, that's what happened. They can't keep up with the weight of the truck. So I get a lot of like oscillations on freeway. I get a lot of, you know, just bouncing, just because the shock absorbers are not designed for a 4-ton truck. They're designed for a 2-ton truck. So I'm resolving that. We're going to be putting some ADS coilovers on, well, not coilovers, but smooth body coilovers, I guess. We're going to be putting those on here in the next couple months, and combined with the leaf springs from Off-Road Design, I think that's going to be just perfect. So the suspension needed some help. I've had my fair share of problems with my transfer case. You see, when I built this, I was scrounging for parts. My buddy was putting a Magnum 205 in his Blazer. And actually, we're doing it now because it's in my shop. And I thought, well, and then he had a 205 doubler that he gave to me. So I threw that in there. The problem is the doubler is old, it's heavy, it's got way lower gears than I would. I mean, I'm starting in second right now. I can't imagine ever needing first gear, let alone low, low, low. So suffice it to say, the transfer case is just too complicated for what's in here. So I need to pull that out and go with just a regular transfer case. And that's my only complaint about the Tremec so far, is the fact that the Tremec it has a 10 spline output, I believe. I'll have to verify that. But it does limit your options on what transfer case you can put behind it. That's kind of a bummer. I wish they did have different output shaft options. So that's not to take anything away from the transmission. It is fantastic. It shifts incredibly smoothly. It just has a really nice feel. It's got a positive click. There's not a whole lot of like excess throw to it. So it is great. What else has been challenging for me with this build? I definitely needed the airbags. I didn't do the airbags until a couple months ago, and 100% the airbags were needed. This thing is just, especially when I'm towing or it's loaded down in the back. It's a lot of weight back there. So airbags in the future should go on straight away. I didn't put a sway bar on in the beginning, and I needed a sway bar too. So a lot of the things that have troubled me along the way, I've slowly been fixing. But let's talk about what I love, because that's a much longer list. So, I mean, first and foremost, I love that I'm driving a square body. I'm driving a square body that has been brought up to like modern amenities level in terms of, you know, power and comfort and that sort of thing. And inside, it's cherry now. It was always an immaculate interior. That was one of the reasons Travis was excited for me to build it, because the interior was great. But I did a lot of sound deadening. The roof got sound deadened, underneath got sprayed with lizard skin. I coated the entire floor with all of the with the Dynamat product, and it has made a huge difference. It's quiet in here. I mean, you guys are in here with me right now, and you can hear that it's not obnoxious. I did all the doors. I did, like I said, the ceiling. I've done everything to make this thing as quiet as I could, and it's paid dividends. I fixed the AC. I'm using the OEM, the original factory AC. I didn't go with the vintage air because this AC worked when I took it out, and so I figured I'd just get it back working now, which is what I did. I did put a monster condenser from vintage air up front, so it does have a big condenser, and I did put a new compressor on it, a Sandon industrial compressor on the Cummins engine. But it blows cold, it's comfortable. I haven't tested it when the engine is really working hard, like towing up a grade out of Vegas. We'll see how it does then, but it can't be worse than no AC. I've tinted all the windows. That's cut down on the heat. It's actually made driving this thing a little bit more pleasant, just because there's no, sun doesn't bake you. You know, you don't have people staring at you because you're super awesome. So yeah, that's the interior and the driving experience. Very, very happy with it. The engine, I don't even know where to begin. The engine is just phenomenal. It's just performed beyond my expectations in terms of power, in terms of torque, in terms of mileage, all these things. It really is an awesome engine. But yeah, let's jump out of the truck and we'll walk around, and I'll point to some things that I love, some of the things that that should be on every build in my opinion, and then we'll head back and maybe get some drone footage on the way back for you guys. I've been posting videos for about 7 years now, so needless to say, I've got a pretty extensive back catalog of how I built the Blazer, how I built the Suburban. So if this is your first time here, make sure you are subscribed. Click the button down below so you can stay up to date with everything that I'm doing, and go take a look at the library that I've put together of four-wheeling trips, fabrication, tips and tricks, engine installs, and everything in between. Let's just walk through and I'll show you everything that is done to this truck. If you have not seen this truck or followed along with the build at all, you won't know what's been going on with it. So starting front to back, this is a Squarebody Suburban, obviously. It's a Silverado, and it's got a 1-ton Dana 60 GM Kingpin passenger drop. So the old school Squarebody 1-ton up front. I went with an AAM 11.5-inch ring gear in the back. That's basically the follow-up to the corporate 14-bolt that we've seen for years, but it now comes with a much bigger ring gear. It comes with disc brakes, parking brakes, all that kind of stuff. I put a Detroit locker in the rear, and I've got an Eaton E-locker up front. There is a Cummins 6BT 12-valve intercooled with a Banks intake under the hood. That sits in front of a Tremec TR4050 5-speed, followed by a 203 doubler reduction box, and then a 205. I have Tom Woods drive shafts front and rear. It's sitting on 38-inch tires. These are Cooper Discoverer STT Pros. sitting on Method 18-inch wheels. What else do I have to tell you about this? It's been heavily modified in many areas. Just a few to name. Obviously, all the lighting has been redone. I put these KC highlights, little spot LEDs up front to give me a little bit more fog lights. I've got the monster condenser in here, as you can see. I've got a huge intercooler behind the condenser, and then I've got my radiator. I've run 2 Windstar fans. I don't run a mechanical fan. There was just no room for me to do it in there. And I moved my batteries to the back. I have 2 Odyssey batteries in the back running in parallel that provide tons of power for this beast. I redid all the steering. It got all new joints. I put crossover on it. I did not run high steer. I put crossover with with the off-road designs HD tie rod ends. I also ran a PSC hydraulic assist, so I've got a ram down on the axle. I have a PSC pump, I have a PSC box, I got a PSC resi, and I run hydro boost. So I'm not using vacuum, this is all hydro boost, so my brakes are tied into my power steering, which gives me, quite honestly, a ton of braking ability. Let's move to the back and I'll show you some of the stuff that we did in the back. I built the bumper a long time ago. This was one of my first projects when I got my affordable bender, was to build this bumper, and added a big, huge cap on the end because I knew I was going to be doing a ton of towing with it. So I put a hitch on, plated the hitch in, boxed the frame where the hitch went, and then tied it all together with a bumper. And inside, let's pop this thing open. And this is one of my favorite things about this truck. It has so much space back here that it's hard to utilize, really, because I can't reach into the back of it. Cargo Glide provided me with this awesome 1500 Cargo Glide slide, and check this out. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, this thing is super clutch. It holds 1,500 pounds when it is fully extended like this. So I can throw a transmission, an engine, dude, I could carry another Cummins engine back here. And it just makes access to the back of the truck really, really clean. This is where I keep all my electronics. And I'm not gonna get crazy into detail on this because I've already done that in a couple other videos, but I have a Switch Pros that I'll show you up front in a minute. The Switch Pros controls all of my accessories. So right now, I've got my chase bar running through it. I've got these rear spots running through it. I've got the LEDs up front. I control my radiator fans with it. I control my air compressor. I control my airbags. Oh, that's another little thing. If you look right there, you'll see that is my rear air, so I can just chuck into that. And I've got one up on the front also. Amp, I got a 1500 watt amp, 5-channel amp that's powering all of my Focal speakers. And I've got a 12-inch Memphis kicking sub. Yeah, this is another part that makes the truck enjoy. I mean, I have a stereo system that just bumps. I've never had that before. It was never high on my list of priorities to put a big stereo in a truck. I'd rather put that money into big tires or big engine. But seeing as this build just keeps on evolving, I figured I want a big sub, and that thing hits hard. And yeah, so that's the back. Obviously, barn doors. I know there's debate, but these barn doors really do make it awesome. The only thing I don't like about the barn doors is not being able to put the windows down. Putting the windows down on the tailgate and cruising with that breeze flowing all the way through, that is a square body delight, in my opinion. So needless to say, I mean, the carpet is factory. The seats are factory. This is the factory steering wheel, factory gauge panel. It was just so clean in this truck. I have replaced a few things. I've replaced my door cards. They were pretty thrashed and cracked. I'm not super happy. These are the Lmc door panels that I sprayed with the matching color, which you can see doesn't really match. And that's a problem. You order from Lmc and their garnet is not the right garnet. Whether this interior is faded or what, who knows. Inside, you'll see, obviously, I had to add a stick shift. I've added that third pedal because it is now a manual. You'll see this is where I put my switch pros. This gives me the option I can control my fans. This is how I raise and lower the airbags, my air compressor. I've got my chase bar, hazards, rock lights. I control my locker through all this. Down on the transmission tunnel, you'll see that is where I have the Dakota Digital centering units. So I did go to a Dakota Digital full instrument panel. It's just super clean. It gives you all the gauges, gives you all the information. It's all digital. I've done a video on that too, so I won't get too much into it. Moving over in the center console, you'll see that gauge right there. Let me turn this on for you, Ryan, so you can actually...
Oh.
Let's turn off this fan. But there goes my air compressor you can hear, and rock lights, all the good stuff over there. You'll see that is an Toto S8 head unit. I've done a video on it. I'll link to that for you guys. And then you'll see I've got my airbag gauge, so I can see what's in the tank and what's in the airbags. Underneath that, I've got the Rugged Radio RDM DB. That's their new digital band radio. And then I've got a Dometic fridge as my center console. The center console was just kind of big, cavernous open space that stuff would just rattle around in anyway. So I figured, why not make it cold? So I could keep cold things in there. What else do I have to show you? Oh yeah, the kick panels. The kick panels down on either side. Those came out really great for holding a 6.5-inch speaker. And then moving up on the dash, on the A-pillar, you'll see that I have this console from, I believe it's from Glow Shift. Those are Autometer ultralight gauges. I'm running EGT, I'm running boost, and I'm running fuel pressure up there. And right next to that, you'll see the control box for the power-driven diesel. This is the AFC Live that allows me to harness my fuel, my pre-boost fuel, my power levels on the fly. Very cool little unit there. And then that's about it on the interior. I've done some minor upgrades to the lighting. I'm still messing around. I'm probably gonna be doing something up there with the overhead console just because that's just screaming out for customization. And then the amp steps. Very, very stoked on the amp steps. They just disappear, reappear when you need them. They're strong, they're easy to climb in and out. That was clutch. Although, I gotta be honest, this is the only side that works. And I'm the tallest one in my family. So I don't need it as much as everyone else. I haven't been able to get the other side to work properly yet. It keeps on catching on the body when I lower it. And then finally, Ryan's favorite part of my truck, right dude? You love this thing.
Yeah, I need to get one for my rig.
The Lund visor. Classic old school Chevy, good looks.
It just looks so good, and it's actually very cool. I'm impressed.
Yeah, yeah. What else did we do? We just did the hinges in the front doors.
How long did that take?
That took far too long. All new hinges, front and rear, so we no longer have any movement. So, door shuts, great. I mean, it sounds like a freaking European sedan when you close it. Like I mentioned, lizard skin everywhere to cut down on any noise. And what do we have underneath? The custom springs, sway bar. Ooh, sway bar's getting rubbed pretty good by the tire. I hadn't noticed that. And 3-inch exhaust, front to back, hand built, custom welded. Just a ton of little spot welds, wasn't anything clever, don't get excited. And a killer paint job. I'm not 100% sure what I'm gonna do on the paint yet. I love it the way it is. But this has been clear coated, and I think it came, did I hit something here? That's probably when we were taking this panel on and off. I think we put some more character marks in the paint. But this is being clear coated, and I like this. You'll see the difference here. I dig that. I think we need to do more of that. And then, what else is there to see here? Rear view camera. I'm about to hook up the front camera. Airbags we've talked about. Oh, the suspension, I did a tension shackle. I know one of the popular things to do with these trucks is to do what's called a shackle flip, which is taking the factory tension shackle, which basically the spring comes up and the shackle rests in a hanger. So it allows the shackle to really droop and give you a lot of travel. But going to a shackle flip enables you to keep the same length springs and get like 4 inches of lift. It's a cheap way to get lift, but it does limit your travel. So based on Steven's recommendations from Off-Road Design, I did go with their tension shackle and obviously their custom designed leaves underneath. Been super happy with that. The ride, as I mentioned, is killer. And then final upgrade in the back. We did these new LED tail lights from LMC. They've been working good. You've seen a couple builds I've done where we've used these. LED sequential, LED constant. They're bright, they're easy, they look good, and they fit fairly well. So needless to say, I couldn't be happier with how this truck has come out. It's my daily driver right now. It's that much of a pleasure to drive. I pick my kids up in school from it, I drop them off at school, do the grocery run, take them to practice, and I tow all kinds of heavy stuff with it during the week.
I know I suckered you guys in with that clickbaity title, but there were a few things that I did not like about the Burb, and I've been slowly checking them off the list and fixing them from AC to make it nice and cool inside, to sound deadening to make it quiet, and soon to be new suspension to complement the off-road design leaf springs that I have in there. I'm gonna link to some videos up here that show the whole build process, from tearing the whole frame apart and plating and boxing it, to taking it on a trip to Death Valley and wheeling it through the middle of nowhere. It was a cool trip in a cool truck. I hope you guys take a look at it and let me know what you dislike most about your truck and what you're doing to remedy that. Until next week, Merricks Garage.